In the quiet hours before dawn, when the mist clung to the earth like a whispered secret, the river began to sing. Not with the roar of rushing waters, nor the gentle trickle of a stream, but with a voice that sounded heartbreakingly human. It was the voice of Onyeki Nwanjin, the girl whose voice could bend the wind. In a village cradled by ancient trees and red earth pathways, there lived a girl whose beauty was only rivaled by her voice. Onyeki Nwanjin was not just admired. She was remembered. Her laughter carried like silver bells across the farms, and when she sang, even the restless wind paused to listen. From the time she was a child, her voice was unlike anything the elders had heard. During moonlit gatherings, when drums echoed and fires crackled, Onyeki would rise, close her eyes, and sing. Her songs were not ordinary melodies, they felt like prayers woven with sunlight and sorrow. Women wept quietly. Men lowered their heads in awe. Children stopped their playful chatter. Her voice seemed to come from somewhere older than memory. Whispers of jealousy. But admiration is a fragile thing. And in the shadows of praise, jealousy began to grow. Some of the village maidens envied her beauty, the way her skin glowed like polished mahogany, the way her smile could soften even the sternest elder. Others envied her gift. They had trained their voices for years, yet none could match the effortless power in Onyeki's song. Rumors began to float like ash in the air. She thinks she is special. She sings as if she is greater than the rest of us. The spirits favor her too much. What began as whispers slowly turned into resentment. And resentment, when fed long enough, becomes something dangerous. The river of the ancestors. Long before Onyeki was born, the village had a sacred bond with the river that flowed beyond the palm groves. It was said that their ancestors once served the river spirit faithfully, offering prayers, songs, and yearly sacrifices of gratitude. In return, the river blessed the land with fertile soil and protection from drought. But over generations, devotion faded. The old shrines crumbled. The offerings stopped. The younger ones mocked what they called old superstitions. Only the eldest among them remembered the covenant. And the river remembered too. It was said that the river did not demand worship, but it demanded respect. The night the wind changed. One evening, as heavy clouds gathered over the village, Onyeki felt an unease she could not explain. The air was thick. The birds flew low. Even the goats bleated restlessly. She returned early to her family's hut, a modest clay dwelling at the edge of the village. That night, instead of singing as she often did before sleep, she sat quietly, staring into the darkness. Some say she heard the river calling her name. Others say she dreamed of water rising at her feet. But no one truly knows what she felt in those final hours. The three cobras. At midnight, when the village was swallowed by silence, three cobras slithered toward her hut. Two were black as moonless skies. One was white, pale and haunting under the starlight. They moved without haste, their bodies gliding across the earth like shadows giving life. Inside the hut, Onyeki stared. The door creaked open though no hand touched it. The air grew cold. When her family rushed in at dawn, they found her lying still, her expression peaceful, as if asleep. Coiled near her were the three cobras. They did not strike again. They did not flee. They simply watched. Then, as the first ray of sunlight entered the hut, the snake slipped away toward the river. The village is awakening. Grief fell upon the village like a storm. The same voices that once whispered jealousy now cried her name in agony. The elders gathered beneath the oldest Iroko tree and spoke in trembling tones. This is not ordinary. The river has taken what it believes belongs to it. For days, the river swelled beyond its banks, as though mourning or claiming victory. An ancient priestess, long retired from spiritual duties, stepped forward at last. Her voice was frail but certain. Oenyeki's voice was not just a gift, she said. It was a calling. The river chose her. And when we refused to honor the covenant, it claimed her in its own way. The white cobra, she explained, symbolized purity, a spirit chosen. The two black cobras symbolized judgment and balance. The river had not acted out of cruelty. It had acted out of remembrance. The song that never died. After her burial, something strange began to happen. On certain nights, especially when the moon was full, the villagers would hear singing drifting from the direction of the river. It was soft but unmistakable. Oenyeki's voice. Mothers held their children closer. The jealous ones wept in private repentance. And slowly, offerings returned to the riverbank. Not out of fear, but out of humility. The shrines were rebuilt. The elders taught the younger ones about gratitude and respect for what came before them. The river calmed. The land flourished once again. The legend etched in water. Generations passed, but the story of Oenyeki Nwanjin was never forgotten. They said she became one with the river, a guardian spirit whose song protected the village from unseen dangers. Some claim that gifted singers in later generations carried a trace of her melody in their throats. And whenever a young girl with an extraordinary voice was born, the elders would smile knowingly and say, "The river still remembers." Even now, if you stand by that ancient river before dawn, when mist wraps around your ankles and the world feels suspended between sleep and waking, you might hear it. A voice rising from the water. Beautiful. Unforgettable. Eternal.